Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Sunday, the 29th day of June, 2025. And we have three important stories that are in the news this hour, so let's look at them. First, the IDF says Iran is seeking to destabilize the country of Jordan. This is from Israel HaYom. Three facts about Iran's nuclear obsession. This is from Fox News. It's an opinion piece by Egyptian-born pastor Michael Youssef. It is absolutely excellent. Things that we've been saying over and over again. He put it very eloquently. We'll go to that story second. Then number three, President Trump on Truth Social about giving Iran $30 billion to build non-nuclear facilities. That story has been making the news. What does President Trump have to say about it? All right, let's look at these headlines. Headline number one, the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, says Iran is seeking to destabilize the country of Jordan. The IDF believes that following its failures, Iran will seek to destabilize Jordan, shifting the threat to Israel's eastern border with the objective to turn the kingdom into a base of operations for proxy forces against Israel. The Israeli military believes that the greatest security threat to Israel in the coming years is likely to shift from the north and south to the eastern border to Jordan, which is, by the way, the longest border with any other country that has with Israel. According to the IDF forces, after setbacks in other arenas, Iran is expected to focus on undermining Jordanian stability. Tehran's goal is to turn Jordan into a new platform for its proxy forces against Israel. While the Israel-Jordan border has long been relatively quiet, mostly plagued by smuggling, a recently uncovered network aimed at destabilizing Jordan, a long-standing strategic partner of Israel, has raised serious concerns. The IDF recognizes that close security cooperation with Jordan is not sufficient on its own, and that's very important. In other words, working with Jordan alone is not going to do it. They have to do more. So, what's the military's response? Well, the military's response to this emerging threat is the rapid operational deployment of Division 96, also known as the Gilad Division. Division 96 is tasked with defending Israel's longest border, which stretches for hundreds of kilometers. Its most recent deployment included the 417th Jordan Valley Regional Brigade and a reserve infantry brigade. Additionally, the IDF is introducing a new strategic initiative under the Gilad Division, the formation of, quote, David's brigades, after King David, of course, regional defense units designed to secure areas deep within Israel's interior that have previously lacked sufficient protection. Meanwhile, the government is investing millions of shekels in reactivating abandoned military posts under the Gilad Division's command and significantly bolstering settlement efforts in the area. In other words, this really needs to be shorn up. This area with Jordan, which was seemingly never before a threat to Israel, but now it seems to be going to become one since Iran has failed with the Houthis in Yemen, with Hezbollah in Lebanon, with Hamas in Gaza, with the Iraqi different Islamic jihadists there. And so now the longest border there, Jordan, they're going to it looks like they're going to go after it. All right, so they're going to bolster their settlements efforts in the area. And what's also interesting, they're going to establish a new city along the border, the creation of new settlement outposts, and the official recognition and strengthening of existing communities. A major border fence project is also in the works, aimed at completing a comprehensive defense system. The revamped eastern border is envisioned as a model response to the October 7th massacre by Hamas. Secure borders, robust settlement infrastructure, and proactive preparation for future threats rather than reactive measures, which has been their problem in the past. So, Iran, as we see, continues to search for new ways to destroy Israel after their own recent failures. Like we said, in the war with Israel, they failed in the war with Israel, and they failed with Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Now, why do they keep on going? We get story after story. They're not giving up. Why do they keep on going? What is guiding them to be so irrational? Well, the next story provides some insight. And this is an opinion piece from Fox News from Pastor Michael Youssef, who was born in Egypt. Three facts he lists about Iran's nuclear obsession. It's very important we know this. This Egyptian-born pastor gives us three key facts that show why Iran's radical clerics will never abandon their nuclear obsession. This is so key that we all understand this. Number one, a nuclear-armed Iran cannot be deterred by Cold War nuclear doctrines. During the Cold War, the logic of MAD, mutually assured destruction, MADD, kept nuclear superpowers in check. Every president, premier, and prime minister knew that launching a nuclear attack would invite their own annihilation. So there'd be mutually assured destruction. What's the uh, the reason for destroying another country when you will be destroyed by them or by others for doing something like this? And so Michael Youssef says, I've heard people say we're already living with a nuclear armed North Korea and a nuclear armed Pakistan. Would a nuclear armed Iran be any worse? In fact, as he writes, a nuclear armed Iran would be infinitely worse. The reason is that Shiite Islam, the ruling ideology in Iran, makes Cold War doctrines of deterrent obsolete. And here's why. Fact number two he lists. Iran's leaders have a religious incentive to launch Armageddon. That's something we've been saying over and over again. Now, most people know Islam is divided into several sects, and the two most notable ones are the Sunnis and Shias. In 1501, the Safavid rulers of the Persian Empire declared the Twelver Shiite Islam as the official state religion. Again, Twelver Shiite Islam is the official state religion, distinguishing Persia from its Sunni neighbors. After Persia was renamed Iran in 1935, Twelver Shiism remained the official faith. And by the way, this candidate who looks like he's going to win the mayoral election in New York, the Democratic candidate there, he belongs to Twelver Shiism, by the way. All right, Twelver Shiism is the largest branch of Shia Islam and is defined by its belief in 12 divinely ordained imams, in other words, 12 rightful successors to Muhammad. Now, the last imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi, supposedly went into occultation, it's called miraculous hidden state, in the ninth century. Twelvers claim that the Mahdi will one day reappear to establish global justice. In other words, he's still around, still alive, but he's in this occultation, what they call it. He's in this hidden state, and he's going to show up again one day. Many of Iran's clerics fervently believe that before the Mahdi can be revealed, an apocalyptic battle must be fought between faithful Muslims and the forces of evil. As a result, some Iranian leaders and possibly the Ayatollah himself are motivated to trigger a nuclear war to fulfill the ancient prophecies and force the appearance of the hidden Mahdi. Iran officially denies having a nuclear weapons program, but again, Iran goes under the guise of the teachings of Islam where it's okay to lie. In fact, lying is something that Allah does, it's something Muslims do, and so there's nothing wrong with that. So when they say they don't want to have a nuclear weapons program, they're lying about it. We all know that. All right, the article goes on to say the recent attacks by Israel and the United States against Iran's nuclear facilities have dealt a serious setback to the cleric's nuclear ambitions, but don't be misled. Don't be. Iran's 12er Shiite clerics will never abandon their fanatical claim, their fanatical dream of launching a final war and revealing the long hidden Mahdi. Again, this is what drives them. This is what invigorates them, and they're never going to stop. Never. Fact number three, a nuclear armed Iran threatens not only Israel, but all of Western civilization. That's something we've been trying to say here for years and years. Iran has shown that its missiles are capable of penetrating Israel's Iron Dome defense systems. And he goes on to say, Michael Youssef, imagine if those missiles carried nuclear warheads. Even more troubling, Iran is aggressively developing intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, through its Space Launch Vehicle, SLV program. The director of the U.S. Intelligence Agency, Lieutenant General Robert Ashley, told Congress that Iran could use its SLV program to work, quote, towards an ICBM capability. Whenever Iran tests a satellite launch vehicle, it's flexing its ability to threaten Europe and North America. The Iranian clerics have made their goal clear: death to Israel, death to America. But we in the West do not seek the death of Iran. We only want the Iranian people to be free from theocratic oppression. That was the article by Michael Youssef in Fox News. Excellent opinion piece. He is an excellent Bible teacher, by the way. I used to listen to him all the time on the radio. All right. As we say, he is absolutely correct in what he has just said. Indeed, these facts about Iran and their Shia beliefs need to be understood by more people. While it is irrational and it is illogical, It is what guides them in such a way that they will never, ever give up their quest. Let's say that again. It may be irrational, it may be illogical, they may be beaten down like we just saw in this war with Israel and the U.S., but it's not going to get them to give up their quest. They will never, ever give it up. Never. Destruction of Israel, as along with the USA and Western civilization, is their ultimate goal. Everything this sect does is aimed at achieving these goals. Therefore, and here's the real key, here's the takeaway. We should never try to compare them to any other belief system or to rational behavior. This is not who they are. They're irrational, spiritually guided. They are spiritually guided, but not by the living God, by another God, the God of this age, to do what they're attempting to do, destroy Israel and destroy the United States of America. So, excellent piece from Michael Youssef. Some we talk about here all the time. We can't overemphasize this because people think, well, we've got North Korea out there and Pakistan. What's wrong if Iran gets nuclear weapons? Well, again, it's what guides them as opposed to Pakistan and North Korea, and that is destruction of the world that would bring this final Mahdi out of hiding, as it were, to bring Islamic rule to the entire world. All right, headline number three. President Trump on Truth Social about giving Iran $30 billion to build non-nuclear facilities. Here's what he said in Donald Trump's own inimitable way. Who in the fake news media is the sleazebag saying that President Trump wants to give Iran $30 billion to build non-military nuclear facilities? Never heard of this ridiculous idea. It's just another hoax, all uppercase letters, put out by the fake news in order to demean. These people are sick, all uppercase letters. All right, now here's the sad thing. Sadly, this story has made the rounds on many so-called news websites. The comments on these websites were universally critical of Trump, thinking that he's thinking about doing such a thing, helping Iran build non-nuclear facilities. However, as we see, the story is fake news, but these websites print it, they highlight it, they give big headlines to this. Trump's going to do this, build Iran these non-nuclear facilities. And you got people after people commenting, say, I knew this about Trump, you can't trust him, etc., etc. All right, so here's the question. Why do these websites post such a story? Well, simple, to make Trump look bad. As we examine, again, let's take a step back. As we examine these three stories, we're once again reminded that Iran will not quit in their goal to destroy Israel and eventually the U.S. and Western civilization. We are also reminded of the constant fake news stories that are out there. Usually they are meant to undermine President Trump, the United States, as well as Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. Hence, you and I need to be careful to read any and all news stories with discernment. Why? Because there is a spiritual war going on, and it consists of lies, confusion, misinformation, all aimed at trying to get believers off topic. So here's the key. We must first and foremost study the scriptures to understand exactly what we need to know as we fight these spiritual battles. And the Bible tells us we can understand the times which we are living. As 1 Chronicles 12 says, like the men of Issachar, they understood the times and they knew what to do. You and I need to understand the times that we're living in and know what to do. The Bible gives us these instructions. Once we know what's going on and we understand the times, we see all these things coming together, will really increase our faith and let us live at peace with the world around us seemingly falling apart. So anyway, these three stories are very important on our second edition of Breaking News for this Sunday. I'm Don Stewart again. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.